Hey, welcome to this Command Modern Air Naval Operations gameplay video. If you love modern simulations, then don't miss a minute of what's coming up. Hey, welcome. It's time to play some Command Modern Air Naval Operations and continuing in our Shifting Sands playlist, what we will call it, playing the scenarios of the DLC Shifting Sands. We're going to do a real simple one today, and the reason I'm going to do that is that, well, let's just be quite honest. Let's take a look here at something. No, not the here. Yes, I'll get it right. This thing is the next one if we just do them in order. I've looked at that and its duration 3 hours. That's the duration of this scenario. It will take me more than 3 hours just to figure out what to do. I've already spent an hour or more just staring at the number of aircraft, the number of targets, and I suspect it'll be weeks before I have that one together, and that's assuming that I've got nothing else to do. Rockstar calling is actually kind of cool. That's an alternative history for the attack on the USS Liberty. I want to mess with that one, and that shouldn't take too long for me to wrap my brain around. That's probably going to be the next one we do. But today we're going to do the Iron Coast, which is very straightforward, very simple. It's another simple naval battle with, hey, it's World War II all over again. It's kind of cool, kind of fun, and it won't take long. 6 hours, I can't imagine it taking 6 hours of game time. So that's what we're going to jump into today. And here we go. But before we do, hey, if you've listened to me babble on about why I'm scared of gigantic scenarios with hundreds of aircraft and dozens of targets, and you haven't subscribed, come on, please consider subscribing. Hit that bell notification so you know when I've posted another video, like and share, and please leave me a comment. Okay, overview. Egyptian forces normally conduct 2-unit patrols from Port Said at distances of 40 nautical miles. The units are normally of P4 or P6 MTBs. Recently, intel has suggested that a number of Komar-class missile boats have been based there over the last few weeks, but this remains unconfirmed. Orders and conduct operations. Units of patrol covering the Sinai coast up to the approaches to Port Said. Any Egyptian units detected sailing east 12 nautical miles or more from Port Said are to be engaged, except avoid engaging Soviet destroyers of the Skory class because of their superior firepower. Order of battle, we have INS Eilat, guns and torpedoes, and the ex-French MTBs. I think there's a couple of them. Egyptian order of battle, P4 MTBs. Command and control, INS Eilat, Commander Shushan. Limited emissions on all sensors. Well, this is not entirely true. I played with this once already this morning, and yep, this one of these destroyers showed up. It also makes me think that perhaps we might see, depending on when you play this, that there's a random event, that we might actually see a Komar missile boat, which would be quite disturbing. So what do you say we jump in? Let's see. Sometimes you gotta convince it. There we go. Sometimes you gotta talk it into uh, the night mode. Now there is, well, they're not showing it here, but the fact we can start. Let's briefly start. There we go. There we go. There's a coastal radar site. Here's our patrol area. I think it would be a mistake to get in there and let that radar site find us. So I'm going to give this guy orders to proceed to, about there and to there for the initial patrol. View, map settings. Can I show plotted courses? Yeah, let's show all plotted courses to make it easier to do this. There's the 9th Motor Torpedo Division. 2 guys. They look very lightly armed. Got 20 millimeter Oerlikons, 40 millimeter, and a couple of 533 millimeter torpedo tubes. Yeah, those are eggshells armed with, well, sort of hammers. I want these guys to parallel that course and then to follow, roughly like that. Um, maybe offset just a little bit more, staying out of this radar and conducting this initial patrol. And we need to get some, so we're set them at cruise speed, which is 15 knots. And these guys at cruise speed, which is 15 knots. And that seems to work for me. What do you say we get going? All right, we're starting to see a lot of contacts. And by the way, it's working. Look, I'm using the scroll wheel to zoom in and out. Amazing. All right, we're going to let this kind of slow real quick. Look around. 2 knots, 2 knots. This is another one of those things where you have to watch these behaviors to judge what you think they are. Now, is it possible that the bad guys might cruise slow to fool us? I suppose. But I am initially not nearly as suspicious of something making 2 knots as something making 36 knots. That would be very unusual for a civilian craft. I think it would be just about impossible for 99.9% of, maybe 100% of civilian traffic in this part of the world at this time. All right, it's just cluttering along at 1 second. Let's speed up and take a quick look. 2 knots. Okay. Another contact. 2 knots. Hang on, what's this? 2 knots. Okay. 2 knots, 2 knots. Nothing to be terrified just yet. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Look at those guys go. 50 knots. Well, that's disturbing. I think we can certainly mark them unfriendly. And probably should be treating them as hostile. I think the way to react to that is, one, to pick these guys up to flank speed now that they've turned in that direction. Flank. Okay, we're going to be that way, are we? It might be a formation change issue. And for this guy to turn to unmask batteries in case those guys are hostile. Now let's speed this up a little bit. I want to see if these guys start to speed up like they ought to, or whether they're still stuck on 18 knots. I don't know what's up with that. All right, if you've just got to have manual override, and they just don't want to do it, I suspect this is the group lead slowing down for the formation change. Let's let it rock a little while and see how that works out. All right, we've identified those as PTs. We're marking them hostile, and we are engaging them. These guys still don't want to come up to speed. I'm not sure what to make of that. All right, 114 millimeter. We're missing by a little bit. Oh, I think we got a hit. Oh yeah, it's he's like gone. Okay, that's pretty straightforward, huh? Engage that guy. And then for some reason, these guys just refuse to speed up. Let's pause for a minute, see if I can figure that out. Anything about doctrine that might air ops any surface? Nope, I can't think of anything here. Weapons release, withdraw when, or fuel redeploy when. No, I just don't see any reason why. These look to be identical. They are identical units. They just don't seem to want to. Well, let's see something just for fun. Let's delete those waypoints. Give them a new one. Yeah, F2. And suddenly, well, I don't know what those waypoints were doing. Although it doesn't seem to be wanting to come up to speed much quicker. Okay, so we've got that guy. And manual override, 14 knots. Well, there's something going on here that I don't understand. I think I'll pause this thing while I check it. Okay, yeah, it was the group lead can slow down for group reform. So this guy was moving forward. This guy was going slow. I unchecked this, and that crowd is picking up the pace. Okay, we're going to let them run a little harder to get up in the vicinity of the Eilat. And we're going to stay away from that radar. 2 knots, 2 knots. We're still inside our patrol area. All right, they've come up to speed. Got to watch these guys. They're using real fuel. Look at that. I mean, they're just motor torpedo boats. So that kind of speed is going to really eat up the go juice. Okay. 5 hours to go. Game. Minor victory. Okay, those are worth 20 points apiece. And they've lost 2 TKP-6s, and we've used 92 rounds of 114 millimeter ammunition. All right. Still nothing threatening. Pick up the pace. Oh, what's this? 10 knots. Well, that could still be civilians. It surely could still be civilians. Let's move in that direction. And you guys, I want you to go there and there. That's all about worrying about what's over here and not wanting to lead off with guys that are quite that fragile. 10 knots. Okay. Speed this up. All right. Yep, that's a neutral. 2 knots, 2 knots, 2 knots. Well, that just means that that's a real live We're right about the edge of our patrol area. With these guys to throttle back to cruise. And we'll continue on toward the edge and make sure we know what this is. Probably the same thing. All right. Well, we haven't gotten a whoa, FF. Well, that's outside of our patrol area. That's getting kind of interesting, isn't it? And hey, that's a Soviet destroyer that we don't want to be. We don't want to hit that. We don't want to attack that. No, sir. Let's let me see if I can figure out my patrol area now. There we go. Yeah, it's right along here. Let's come back this direction. And ooh, except that would be entering that radar. Let's go in that direction. And that direction. Okay. Uh-uh. There's something making 35 knots. Somebody's angry. DD number 32. That's going to be that Skory class, which we were told to engage everything but not him. Everything except him. All right, let's pick up that guy's throttle. 28 knots. He just went hostile. He is identified as Al Nasser. Now I'm getting a little bit confused. Yeah, we are. Okay. F2 on the Eilat. Nope. Let's get in here where I can see what I'm doing. That's the motor torpedo boat. There's the Eilat. I want you to come to full speed. And the motor torpedo boat crowd. We are almost. Yeah, what we need to do is quit merging range symbols so I can see. All right, we are outside of. A little bit confusing at this point. We are outside of that. That's which is what I want. That's what I want. I don't want any Eilat. And that ought to kind of set me up, I hope. So, yeah, about 30 seconds. Let's slow that down a little bit. Anything else in here I got to worry about? 2 knots, 2 knots. Oh. Two knots. Here he comes back. You know, he's inside a gun range. He's got us on his radar and inside a gun range. That's awkward. May not be supposed to be doing this, but I think we must. Slow down, see how that works. All right, these guys are coming up to speed, making their run. And we've got the 114 millimeter gun engaging her. This is fun. I wish we could do this in World War II. Hey, developers, do this for us in World War II. Oh, she is taking a pounding. She's flooding. And not sure why she hasn't continued firing. Let's pause and see, is she out of ammo or something crazy? No, seems to have plenty of guns. Here it comes. Those guys are on the attack, although I don't think they'll get there. I don't think it'll matter. Because she is getting hammered. Now she's on fire. These guys are on their attack runs. Might be kind of fun. I wonder if I can how can I stop her from attacking? Shift F1. Well, she doesn't seem to be attacking just yet. Let's just let that go and see if these guys can get in there and do a torpedo attack. Wouldn't that be fun? Won't matter. What if we unassign? Doesn't. I think we've got too many weapons in the air. She's gonna sink her. Oh, scenario is concluded. Triumph. So we expended 344 114 millimeter 45 caliber Mark 5 single HE. We killed 2 torpedo boats and a destroyer, and that's that. That's just real straightforward. Well, and we learned one thing, or reminded ourselves of one thing, that when you're in a group and you can't seem to get them up to speed, it's this group leak and slow down thing. That really, and that's okay. Probably I need to relax about that. Either that or just change the formation or do what I did. Unclick that little, click this little thing right there when it's got a group. That way they'll just turn and run as fast as possible. And there you go. Hey, that's got to be one of the shortest videos I've ever done. It's a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I'm planning to do more of these and more difficult scenarios. I'm just a little bit busy these days, getting ready for a new job, bunch of other things, and some of these bigger ones are intimidating me with everything else I have to do. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. I think I've said it already, and I'll see you again real soon. Hey, thanks for watching. If you click on that picture of Very Young Waz, you'll be subscribed so you'll never miss another video. Then click on that bell notification button, and please share and comment. See you again soon.